It's like going to be us with Brady. We'll be telling people that it's like, you have no idea how good it was. What really makes you a gamer? Like, are you a gamer if you just play a video game, you know? But to me, my always embodiment with that was like, oh, you play multiple games, you know a lot about different styles of games, etc. Like you play FPSs, you play RPGs, and you've been playing like on different consoles and all that stuff. But if you just play one game and that's it, it's kind of weird. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 209 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how we doing, bro?
Doing great.
Yeah, how we doing, Justin? How we
doing?
Great.
Great. Day after
better than usual.
Great after Super Bowl 59. My Eagles came through and won. And from last episode, I'm pretty confident I said that they're just going to win. No doubt in my mind that they're going to win. And because they were the better team, and they were very much the better team.
Dude, I watched like a good amount of it. There were some parts that I missed, but when I would tune in on my phone and just see where they're at, it was ridiculous. They were just getting, it wasn't even like a good game. It was a bad game, honestly.
Yeah. It was a good game.
Well, okay, like because in the sense of they won, you know, but it was like, it wasn't as like thrilling of a game as some people would have wanted, you know?
Yeah, you're saying like a close game.
Right. Because we talked about it before we started. Actually, no, last night we talked about it. Like the Eagles were they were so good. Like their defense was just perfect. Like they knew exactly how to handle the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So it's like
because the Chiefs were bad all season.
Right.
I'm punching the Chiefs this entire, like, nothing against the Chiefs. They just were not good this season. I don't care. They went 15-2 the whole season. Realistically, they should have gone like 8-9 because nearly half of the games that they won were because of like some insane magic or some insane chance, like blocked field goals, a random fumble, like just insane stuff that doesn't happen that often. But again, like the Chiefs did just enough to make it to the Super Bowl, but it was very clear that if you asked anyone, like the Eagles were the better team on paper, like by far. And the Chiefs did not match up well at all. Like they got exposed bad playing against a good team.
Yeah. So what do you think's next for the Chiefs then, bro? Because I can't really comment on this stuff. Like, do you think that they start making some decent sized changes to try to get back to where they were? Like, obviously they're going to keep Mahomes, of course.
Yeah.
But do you think they're going to start like making a lot of moves, or they're just going to kind of chalk it up as like a bad year?
No, I mean, like, granted, their number one receiver, he got injured. Like, he tore his ACL. Patrick Mahomes actually tore his ACL. And, like, he missed a tackle and hit his teammate and then basically exploded his knee. So he took out his own wide receiver. And then his O-line obviously was just awful. So they had a lot of injuries there. They need to upgrade there. And they need to get like their receivers back. Like this year was just a lot of injuries for them, to be honest. And they kind of just skated by with the players that they just had. But they're still a good team. It's just that they did just enough in every game to win until the big game, obviously, because they needed everything. Like they couldn't make a single mistake, and they made a lot of mistakes. So like, and Travis Kelce too, like this might be his last game ever, because he's already mentioned that he's closer to retiring than he is like playing another year. So, or playing for a couple more years. So this could be his last game forever, or he could go like another season. Really depends. But I think the Chiefs overall, they have Patrick Mahomes. They're fine. It's like you got Tom Brady, you're fine. It's just you need to have like the protection around you and the receivers around you, and he didn't really have that this year. Like his receivers were like mid, and like they got by, but when you play against a defense like the Eagles, they got exposed really, really bad. And obviously they prepped for him pretty well because like the Eagles defense, they didn't even blitz once the whole Super Bowl. 0 blitzes and they sacked him 6 times.
Yeah.
That's unexcusable for his O line. That's awful.
Right. Right. Yeah, I was surprised by it because, like, I don't follow, football nearly as much as you. So, like, going into it, you felt really confident about it. Um, I knew that the Eagles were a good team, but I was kind of hoping, I was like, "Oh, man, this is gonna be, like, a really tough matchup." Um, and then again, I was just shocked, like, going in, I like, watching a little bit. I watched up to halftime,
I think a lot of
and
people did because they were winning.
right.
What, it was like 34 nothing or 40
Yeah,
nothing. I think no
right.
34. I think.
Yeah, it was insane. I was like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous." And then I had stuff to do anyway. I was like, "Ah, whatever, like, I'm gonna go and take care of that." And then I would check on my phone periodically, and I'm like, "Yeah, it ain't getting any better." Like, I was thinking there was going to be, like, when we had that year with the Falcons and Patriots, I'm like, "Dude, maybe the Chiefs are gonna mount a comeback here, and, Mahomes will, like, really solidify himself as, like, a GOAT or the GOAT." And, it just didn't happen,
Mhm.
you know? Um, yeah, that was the thing I saw all the time on the timeline afterwards. People are like, "Does this make Tom Brady, like, the official GOAT?" Like, they go down this deep into a Super Bowl, and they just can't dig themselves out.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I don't really know. You can talk better on that than I can.
Yeah, I mean, well, he Brady came back in the 3rd quarter with, like, 3 minutes and, like, 20 seconds, I think, left in the game, in the 3rd quarter and then all of the 4th, but he was down 3 to 28. Like, if Patrick Mahomes did come back somehow in the second half being down, like, 30 plus, that would be absolutely insane and a huge sell by the Eagles,
Oh,
and
yeah.
literally the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history, but that obviously didn't happen. Like, that's just an insane mountain to climb, especially too when at least like that Super Bowl against the Falcons, you could like look at the Patriots and see like they're not getting destroyed. Like they're not being themselves. They're making stupid plays. In
Right.
this game, like the Chiefs were getting shit on.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles dominated the entire time. Like the final score, it was 40-22. Um, I think, yeah, 22. And like that is not a reasonable score. Like, because they just let off the gas pedal at the end because they're like, hey, it doesn't matter. We're winning by so much.
Right.
Realistically, it should have been like 40-7.
Yeah.
Uh,
Punish them.
yeah. So, I mean, the Eagles were just a better team. It would have been really hard for the Chiefs to repeat. And, um, the Eagles just didn't make any mistake, really.
Right. Yeah, I'm kinda hoping because again, I do like the Eagles, as well, not just because 'cause I'm hopping on the bandwagon, but that's where my dad's from, Philadelphia, so I kind of have, like, grown up liking the Eagles as well. I mean, I was always like Patriots, but he would always be watching the Eagles games. Um And they were like, they had their moments for sure, like where they were okay, but they had a lot of ups and downs. But mainly when it was the Patriots era, I was just watching that, like everybody was just hyped on that train. But now it seems like the Eagles, they could potentially be, on a train where they're really, they're always in the Super Bowl, or they're at least they're like definitely a contender going in every year.
Yeah.
Um, which is sick to see. Like I
Yeah.
love it. And they again with this match, it wasn't like you said, it wasn't close at all. I mean, they just totally shit on them.
Yeah. It's ever since Jalen Hurts came into the league. I mean, he's still like he's a good quarterback, but that team's just overall very well rounded. That
Yeah,
entire team, they've got so many different weapons.
right.
But yeah, in my lifetime, I'm lucky enough to see 2 Super Bowl wins from the Eagles and one against the Patriots, and witness 6 Super Bowls for the Patriots. So very spoiled. There are plenty of other people that have never even experienced a playoff win,
That's what I was gonna
and
say, yeah.
that's just that's a standard for us.
Right. Yeah, dude, I know I've talked about this before, but dude, I think about it a lot in sports where, we're just living through these insane eras, you know? Like one of my friends is really into soccer and he's like, he goes off about Ronaldo and how
Mhm.
he's literally the greatest ever. And he was saying, it's like, dude, you don't understand. Like, he is literally the greatest soccer player ever, and we're alive, like, during this time to witness him.
Mhm.
There's going to be people like long after we're all dead, like hundreds of years from now, and they're going to be talking about some of the greatest soccer players ever. And they'll be like, oh man, you should have seen him. Like, he was unbelievable,
Mhm.
or even like, you know, even for us, like 40, 30 years from now, people who are like teenagers who were into soccer, it's like, yeah, he's long retired, and it's like, you should have seen him in his prime.
Mhm.
It's like going to be us with Brady.
Oh,
We'll be
yeah.
we'll
I
be
mean,
telling people that it's like, you have no idea how good it was.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're cemented in the books
Right.
as like as the greatest of all time, like all these players. But um, eventually, the I think every record for the most part will get broken because every year, like new generation will always get better and better. But some of these records are just insane. Like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is on pace with like Tom Brady, but like, dude, Tom Brady has been in 10 Super Bowls. 10. That's
Right.
insane. A whole decade
Right.
of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Uh Mahomes is I mean, he's won 2 and he's lost 2.
Right.
Uh that sucks, but that's
The fact
he's
that he's been to four.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, he's been to 4. So,
Yeah, it is crazy.
yeah.
But no, I do think that to your point about like, as time goes on, these records definitely will get broken. But some of them too, where it is tough because of the longevity aspect, you
Yeah.
know, that's just the thing that becomes an anomaly as time goes on. It's like, okay, he's really good in his prime right now, but who's to say something doesn't happen that will, interrupt that?
Mhm.
Um, that's why someone like Ronaldo, it's amazing to me because he is so dialed in, and same thing with Brady too. Like,
Yeah.
that's why those guys are like that. They're so dialed in about their body and how to maintain and be at like a peak level performance. And I think that's just like a dedication to, the sports science
Mhm.
and like totally drinking that Kool-Aid, being like, you have to do this. Like, if you want to be the best and you want to be playing for as long as you want to, which some of those guys like Brady, he wanted to, you have to be doing that, you know.
Yeah.
You can't be like, getting wasted on the weekends, like, doing all this stuff. Like, it's like you have to be always dialed 24/7, 365 to be able to, be playing in your 40s and like, competing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and, like, I mean, those guys are just different animals. Like, they wanna leave a legacy. I'm sure
Right.
there are a lot of players, like, I'm sure Patrick Mahomes wants to leave a legacy, but I'm predicting that he's not gonna play until, like, Brady's age at 45. Like, that's insane that he played for that long.
Yeah.
Especially, like, in a full contact sport where he's got, like, 300 plus pound men, like, literally trying to kill him.
Right. Right.
So, like, and Brady's only been hurt once, like, where he was actually out for the whole season in his whole career. That's insane.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, with Mahomes, like, I don't know. I just see it like he's more of a family guy. Like all these players, I'm sure they'll get to the point where, all right, do I keep playing or do I want to spend time with my family now?
Right.
Because every year you run the risk of like getting seriously, seriously injured or possibly dying. Like, so it's I guess, do you want a legacy? Like, how bad do you really want a legacy
Right.
and work for that? Or, for him, like, are you happy with 2 Super Bowls? Yeah, I think so, because you're like the top 1% of people that will ever get one.
Right. But then for those guys, it's always that question. Like, I'm sure they have it because it's like probably in their mindset. It's always that what if,
Mhm.
you know? Like, I think that's why Brady was like that, because there was that what if, like, what if I keep going, or what if, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Could I go and get more out of it? And again, if Mahomes retired right now, I mean, he would be no doubt regarded as one of the greatest ever. But
Mhm.
people would always be talking about him, dude. What if he kept playing though?
Yeah.
Like, if he never stopped, he probably could have been insane. He
Mhm.
could have set even more records and been like, mentioned in even higher names. Um, but yeah, I can't imagine that's got to be a tough call. You know, he's got his wife and he's got a kid, and
Mhm.
it's like, dude, can you imagine that this guy like it could literally just take one game, one play, and his life could change. You
Yeah.
know, he could get smoked, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, he's never gonna play again, and you know, cognitively something's messed up. Like it could happen. You know, it's
Mhm.
not like super likely, but there is a chance, and it's like, you know, do you want to take that chance?
Yeah. I mean, one bad blow to the head, and I mean, everyone in the NFL like has concussions. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
so common. Like if
right.
one bad blow to the head and it's over, you
Yeah,
know.
seriously.
Or he gets tackled wrong and his knee gets like pinned into the ground or something, and now ACL's torn, like everything in your knee's torn, and then you'll never come back the same. Like that knee
Right.
will never be the same. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I'm very, very happy that the Eagles won. Like I've been able to witness two now by two different quarterbacks and two different coaches, um, and they stopped the Chiefs from the three-peat. So that's always
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, I was gonna say I was looking more for that again. I was rooting for the Eagles, for sure, but yeah, I didn't want to see that happen.
Hmm.
I was like, I want to go and have a little bit of an upset here. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or I say like an upset, but just something a little bit different than what we've had. I get kind of bored of all that stuff when someone's just constantly winning all the time. Like I get it, they're insane, but
Hmm.
as a viewer, as a spectator, I'm like, dude, I want to have things spiced up a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, America wanted the Eagles to win.
Right.
Kansas City wanted the Kansas City to win. Same
Right.
thing with the
Right.
Patriots. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's how it goes. Uh,
Everybody was against him.
but yeah, the quarterback for the Eagles, though, Jalen Hurts, he's like he d I mean, he's a great quarterback. He won the Super Bowl, obviously, and won MVP and stuff, but, like, he was shit on for so long. Like, everybody was saying, like, "He's not the guy. He's not the guy."
Yeah.
And then, made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and it was against the Chiefs. And then lost, and that was a super close game. They won by a field goal, like that's how close it was.
Right.
And then 2 years later, they go and play each other again, and he's actually him and the Eagles are the only team to ever like go uh, and play in a rematch in the Super Bowl and win.
Wow, really?
Yeah, yeah. Brady and Eli Manning. Brady's 0-2. He's
Yep.
never beaten Eli.
Right.
Uh, Peyton Manning and I think it's Peyton Manning and someone else. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's the only quarterback to play against the same team and have a rematch and win in the Super Bowl. So now they're 1-1.
Right. Yeah, that's insane. That is
Mhm.
a wild stat. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
That's gotta be such a good feeling though. He comes back,
yeah, yeah,
flip him off. Get
yeah,
out of here.
yeah.
Yeah.
The an interviewer asked like, "How's it feel to win your second Super Bowl?" And he was like, "Well, I should have two Super Bowls,
Yeah, right.
but this one was good."
Yeah.
And then another player was saying something like, um, we can't rewrite history, but we can write history now. And I mean, they definitely did.
Yeah. No, I mean, it seems like they're gonna set themselves up for a future of, you know, hopefully making it to the Super Bowl. I mean, for your sake, bro, you'd be absolutely loving that because the Patriots, it ain't gonna be happening anytime soon. So you
Yeah,
got your backup team here to be just like riding the wave,
yeah. The
you
Patriots are
know?
in rebuild mode. I think like within a decade, I think the
I was gonna
Patriots.
say, like, what's
Yeah,
the prediction, Justin? Let's
yeah.
hear it.
I think within a decade, 10 years. I think
Yeah.
that's reasonable. Of which like decade sounds like a long time, but dude, there are
No.
teams that have never made it into the playoff or
Yeah.
never even made it to the Super Bowl. Like
And
I'm just
they've been in the league for
right.
decades.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Yeah.
like Lions fans. They haven't seen a playoff win in forever. It's since like the
Yeah.
'60s. So they
Right,
finally
right.
got to see it now. And then they still choked. But, like at least they got to see a playoff win.
Yeah. Well, dude, we'll go and look back on this in 10 years when we're on episode like 2000 or some shit and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
dude, the
right.
prediction was right. Well, I'll tell you, dude, it was
Mhm,
funny when I was editing the shorts for this, for the last episode for 208, bro. I like almost sent it to you laughing because one of them was your prediction about OpTic being
mhm.
like, I don't think PRED plays for the rest of the
Oh
year.
yeah,
And I was like,
and then,
and then sure as shit, like a little bit later. I mean, most people probably heard this.
mhm.
Um, PRED is playing.
Yeah,
He got picked up by OpTic once again in placement for Huke, which I mean, obviously he was going to be the one to go. Like, I saw people that were shocked by this. They were
mhm.
thinking that Kenny was going to get dropped.
That's absurd. I
Dude,
saw that too. Who do you?
those those okay, like I don't I don't want to say like, I'm going to say this. Those are the OpTic fans that I hate. Like
Mhm,
those are people to me. I'm like, you're not a fan. You're not a fan of the team. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like if you're going to be over here gassing Kenny because well, at first hating him, then he goes and wins you a ring and you love him, and then he doesn't have the greatest performance at Major One, and people are calling for his head. I guarantee you, it's the same people.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you need to get a grip on reality. Like, you're not a fan of this team.
Mhm,
Like if you're going to be talking like that, you got to support these people no matter what, in my
mhm.
opinion.
Yeah, no,
But
I agree, and, yeah, I mean, the Pred move back I wonder if like, we knew that Pred was gonna get picked up, but,
yeah,
I mean, clearly, right, the severity between him and OpTic wasn't actually that bad, like, again,
right,
we don't know what happened, but he said that he was cool with the rest of the team, like, he just needs to leave, and I mean, clearly, I guess that's all he needed. I wonder if he was just manifesting this whole time. He was ready to come back, obviously. Um, which I'm sure when they put out like some content or whenever they have their first CDL matches with him, he'll be, he'll be back to being pred.
right. Yeah, and like to your point before, I guess that was the real question was, with whatever issues that led to him being dropped off the team, like how bad was that? Um because him coming back into the team, like you said, he says that it's all good. But of course, there's the people who speculate, and I'm kind of one of those people too, where I'm like, of course he's gonna say that,
Mhm,
like he's not gonna be like, yeah, we're just gonna push through it. Things are not like great, but we're gonna deal with it. It's like, who really knows? But what everybody does know is that, like, Fred is definitely a better player than Hook. I mean,
mhm,
like the potential of what he can do on the map and how he is as a player, his ceiling's just way higher. And from this major, like, them placing nowhere near where they wanted to, I think he is that missing link for them. Like they need that kind of person that's going to step up and can have like those takeover series, to like keep them up in the top fight. I um I was surprised by it though. I feel so bad for Hook though, bro. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is the second time, and dropped. Uh, he got dropped by Optic last time for was it for Fred?
I can't remember.
But
It may have been.
well, I mean, like, look, if we knew that Pred was coming back though, like no matter what, right, to Optic, we know who he's replacing. Yeah,
Right.
for the people that say Kenny, like they're just stupid. They don't
Right.
makes no sense. Like, who's just odd man out? Everyone knows
Yeah.
that, and it does suck because at least in Major One, he was definitely their best player and their most consistent player. But that gives him a really good case. Like he's going to get picked up just because of that. And I guess if you're going to do it to any player, like Hook is like the player to do it against because that dude's is always happy for, he's just always chilling. He's like, "Yep, I get it. Like it's a business." Uh and he will get picked up. Like without a doubt, he's definitely getting picked up. But yeah, it does suck for him. And I know a lot of people are like upset about getting rid of Hook, but it's like, do you want to run back the team that won champs for you again, or would you rather run it with a player that you do have chemistry with, but you know, you're missing out on like a higher ceiling player?
Right. And I think that was kind of the plan all along. Obviously, they, they didn't predict that this was gonna happen. They obviously had to get rid of him for, like, a reason. There's something that just came up.
Mhm,
The plan, of course, all along, and, like, with any team, that's why, like, I remember that year with New York, like, that was such a shock that they broke up after champs, because
mhm,
it's like, that's usually how it never goes. If you win champs together, you stick together. Um so yeah, it's not surprising that he's coming back. Like again, it does suck for Hook, but to your point, yeah, he's going to get picked up, no doubt. I mean, he played really well for that team, and he showed out. Like even prior to that in challengers, he was really good. Um, the I guess the question is like where he's going to go now.
mhm,
Because I saw too that Hixie got dropped off of Vancouver. Um, that was not a surprise.
mhm,
Uh, I think pretty much everybody, even himself, I saw he tweeted it out. He's like, "Yeah, I know. Like, I played like trash. And I think he's gonna go back into challengers, has to figure that out as to what he's gonna do. Um, and if anyone wants to, team with him, but I mean, maybe he goes there. Like, I think Hookah's already played for Vancouver or when they were
yeah,
Seattle.
last year.
Uh, yeah,
I mean, like, he
so
he played well with Abuza over there in, '04. So, I mean, it could be, another fit for him or, one of the other, like, bottom-ish teams,
right.
like, could be LAG, if they replace Linz for Hook maybe, or, Priesta for Hook.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, like, it's weird. Like, that team's weird, like,
Yeah, no,
specifically LAG.
yeah, it's tough. I would assume that he's gonna go to Vancouver just based again like where he was there last year, and that's kind of
Mhm,
just like an easy swap for them. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that there hasn't been as many changes. Like honestly, I thought there would have been a lot more changes with teams after this event.
mhm,
Um, just based off of like, how they played, leading up to the major and then some of them during the major. Um, like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of these players that are in challengers or people that they talk about that are really good, and just no one's making a move on them. No
mhm,
one's willing to like take that risk where they know like LAG is an okay team. Like they placed I can't remember where they actually placed at the major. I think they did better than what they were maybe expecting.
mhm.
But like all during the qualifiers, I mean, they were not that good. And Cloud9, like same thing. Like I don't know. I'm just surprised there hasn't been a lot of moves.
Yeah, I mean, me too, just 'cause the bottom teams are the bottom teams, so you would expect moves to be happening,
Right.
but it's like, I don't know, you look at the players on the team, and it's just hard to imagine getting rid of someone for, like, I don't know, a person in challengers you don't really know about, so I can understand that to an extent, but, like, LAG, for example, if you've got that core 3 that won a world champion together world championship, and then you got Linz. And, who do you really drop out of there that, uh, like, needs to be dropped? And then who are you getting? And I
Right.
think, most would probably say, like, Priesta, just because he hasn't had, like, a good track record, the past couple of years. But then, like, we've all seen what Priesta can do when he's, you know, like, in his rhythm. And he's that guy that, like, saves plays and makes really good plays, but do you wanna get rid of him for that? I mean, they already got rid of him once,
Right.
and then he came back. And then same with, like, Linz. Like, he'd be the other guy I think that they would get rid of, but then you're risking a potential, like, young player that could be thriving on another team if you let him go.
Right. I think a lot of these teams when they have someone like, for example, Cloud9, where Sib wasn't really at first doing well. Um, and I think just in general, he hasn't played up to the potential that he wants to or should be at. Um, there's these teams that are kind of banking on him getting it together, you
Mhm,
know, and that's kind of like the question mark with all of them is like, okay, if there's a player or two that are struggling right now, but they're so good, like we know Priest is good or Kismet, like these guys are insane players, but they're not maybe playing where they want to be. Um, and if you're someone who's, you're just a teammate or you're a manager, like, how do you make that call? to be like, okay, we're gonna ride it out with him and just hope that he gets it together,
Mhm.
or be like, you know what? No, we need to go make a change here, and just take a chance on somebody that we know, like at least in challengers, has been doing really, really well. Or like that guy, Neptune. I saw that I think he's in talks for getting. I can't remember what team he may be going to. I'm totally blanking now, but one of the teams, like I don't know if it was Vancouver. There's another one that he was
Rocker.
talking to. Could have been Rocker, yeah,
Mhm.
where they're thinking of getting him. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like he, played in the league before. Like there's plenty of those guys who go
Mhm.
down to challengers and dominate. Um, and they're just kind of waiting for a league spot.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is why they need more teams. Like, they need to go back to the open bracket thing, like style, where we can see all these players. Because you just, with the amount of space in the league right now, you really do run a risk of like letting someone go and then they get picked up by another team in the league. And now that team's just way better.
Right.
And a lot of it's chemistry too. Like, you just don't know. Like, you drop Linz and then he goes to Rocker, and now Rocker's just a way better team. And you and Rocker were like neck and neck the whole time, and now Rocker's just significantly better because you let that one person go.
Right.
It's always a
Yeah.
risk.
No, definitely, it is a risk. And I saw Zinni talking about this. I think he was talking about it with Ben when they were streaming about how there are a lot of these guys who are former pros who are just kind of stuck down in challengers because like there's no room for them. And
Mhm.
then also too like the path to pro, we've talked about it, is just it's horrendous. I mean, there really is no path to pro. So these guys who they've played in the league, like Asim is someone who comes to mind. Like he's been playing professionally for a really long time and he's been in and out of the league. And then every team that like, I mean, let's be real, like when Asim comes to the league, he's on bad teams and he
Mhm.
doesn't play that well or he looks bad because he's playing on like, a bottom barrel team. But then he goes back to challengers, ends up on a really good team, dominating, and then he gets like back out again.
Mhm.
Um, and there's like it's even someone for me too, like Arcides. It's unbelievable to me that he's not in the league.
Mhm.
You know? Like,
I mean,
he's a fucking two-time world champion.
yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
crazy to me, and he just had, like, I think, like, 1 or 2 bad years. Like, he had that year, I think he was with LAG, and then he
Mhm.
had he played with, Seattle, I think, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. In the
Um,
beginning.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, like, maybe the teams that weren't the greatest, and he was struggling too, but now it's like, okay, where's he gonna go?
Mhm.
There's just no room for him.
Yeah, well, I feel like if you're in the league and you're in like that mid pack to top like team and you somehow get dropped down into like the Seattles, the LAGs, the teams that have always been towards the bottom, like you're like thinking about your career and you're like, okay, this is like bottom barrel right now. Like these are all the players that we could scrap together
Right,
to be just enough to be in the league. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players and challengers, former pros, like specifically, that they should be in the league, but there's just not, there's not enough space. Like, you can
right,
form so many teams with these pros. Like Tyler Fellows just waiting down there. Like
right,
that's a vet that every time he's came into the league, he's made his team like slightly better, just being that veteran. You said Asim, you got Arcides, you got Illy down there. I'm sure
yeah,
Illy has said he's gotten offers, but he's not going to come into the league if he's playing on a shitty team, you know.
right,
And it's
right.
hard for organizations to sign 4 players and be like, you know what? Let's just wipe everyone like mid year or like right after a major and then pick up a brand new team. When realistically, they probably should do that, but with this format, it's just very unforgiving with this
Yeah,
format because say an org does do that. Okay, you got 4 weeks to get points. And what if you go 0-4 and then you go to the major and then you see like a slight spark in the team, but you finish top 4?
right,
Do you keep that team or do you wipe them again and go and pick up, another team? Like, you don't really have time to develop.
right,
And,
right.
you know,
Yeah, and I think too with the major where some of these teams place, like I think of Miami, like Miami outperformed. Like
mhm,
they did so much better online or on the during the major than they did online. Um, and I think that's made things difficult because a lot of these teams, especially with OpTic bowing out early, a lot of these teams ended up placing higher than they were expecting to. So
Mhm.
now they're just like, oh yeah, we're all set. Like we feel pretty confident with the team. We'll be able to, keep on going. But then we've got, qualifiers coming up here this weekend. And I'm curious to see where some of those teams that were up and, they placed third, fourth, fifth to see how they actually do, you
Mhm.
know? Um, I think it's gonna be kind of up and down. Some of those teams that were up there, I think they it's either that if they go to major 2 and they start playing well, it's like, okay, these guys are just like unbelievable on land and they're trash online
Mhm.
for whatever reason because servers or just like, how the game plays. Um, but I think that's definitely played a hand in a lot of these teams not making changes.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom teams definitely should try to do something. It's just yeah, it's hard just getting rid of one player, and then, you swap them out with another player, and you expect your team to be, like, a couple spots better in the rankings, you know?
Right.
Like, that you and I know, like, that chemistry matters a lot, the teamwork matters a lot, so if it's not clicking right away, that's not a good sign.
Well, and that's what I like. We've talked poorly on them because I mean they just are doing bad. But that's the one thing I will say that I do appreciate about the Falcons is that this team, like they know they're not good. They know that they need to be at a higher level and like start competing more. And they're like trying to make changes. Um, like I think it literally just came out today. The day we're recording this, and this guy Wixel, he's in, and that guy Roxas is out.
Mhm.
And then this other guy, Kicks, who he was in the beginning of the year and he was really, really good on that team. They pretty much said that he's indefinitely out. So the chance of him coming back sometime in the year is pretty slim,
Mhm.
which is like really bad for that team. Um, it's like I see it on both sides. I see a team like that where they're really bad. They haven't won anything and they're trying to make moves to improve a little bit, uh, which is good. But the amount of time that they have these guys, they have them for a little bit, and then, like, what happens if this guy plays really bad? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Then, like, who else are they gonna grab? Are they gonna grab, like, another Saudi player and throw him in there, and then maybe do, like, microscopically better or worse? Um, you know, I I don't know. I appreciate the move that they're trying to do something, but I just don't know if it's really, like, the right move. I feel like they're kinda
Mhm.
putting a Band-Aid on, like, a broken leg, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't think for most teams, I don't think a one player move will do anything, uh, unless a one player is PRED. Like, it has to be a PRED, a Hydra, a Simp, and a BZ, like, a player like that where, alright, you put them on your team, and your team is actually better just because of the slaying power of those guys.
Right,
But I would say the majority of teams, you need to make at least 2 changes, but 2 changes is half your team, and now that Chem is just gone, like and the Falcons team, I think they're just, in that cycle where, you're swapping one player out for another, like you said, and they want to stay true to the roots of Saudi players, but the problem is that they already started the year with, the best of the best. Like, those were the best guys that they got.
right,
So, like, I don't know anything about, Wixel, but technically speaking, like, this person is not the best of the best because he didn't start, you
right.
know? Maybe this, mix with the other 3 players, their chem is a lot better, but, I mean, which it could happen, but, it's hard to believe when there are other players out there that probably could help this team, but if they're staying true to, only Saudi players, it's gonna be a hard climb. Because I mean, the only way they get better is if they win a series,
Right.
and it hasn't happened yet.
And I would say too, along with that, like, for sure branding, I think is part of the reason. I think another thing too, man, just might even be like communication. Like those
Mhm,
guys are not obviously calming in English when they're playing.
mhm.
So can you imagine if like, Fellow was on that team?
Yeah.
And like now he's like, dude, what the fuck are we talking about? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, I don't think those guys comms like I don't think their English one is like all that great. Um I'm assuming that it's pretty much like they know how to say some basic stuff or maybe communicate a little bit with Clay or whoever's on the team. Um, but based off like their comfortability level, they're obviously way more comfortable talking about the game and speaking about it in Arabic,
Mhm.
instead of in English. So that could definitely be a factor too. That's like if we throw someone in here who's not from Saudi Arabia or doesn't speak their language, there's no chance they're gonna be able to survive. Like, they're gonna lose it.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally true. But or they again, the other route is just wipe the whole team. Like, don't, you know, just pick up all like NA or European players and call it a day, and the team's branded as, a Saudi Arabian team. Like
Right.
they're or you keep uh their best player and then pick up 3 players, and then you force this one guy to learn English, which is
Right.
it's fucked. But I mean, like, that's
That
what
yeah,
they
that would be insane.
that's what they did with Hydra, you know?
Right.
I mean, Hydra's just a generational talent, and I mean, he picked up English really fast because he had to. But
Right.
um, those are like the only options. Like, you keep it, within Saudi Arabia, like those players, or you wipe the whole team and just get all NA players or European players, or you drop 3, keep 1, and then force them to learn English.
Yeah, like, all their routes are insane, like,
Yeah.
as to
Yeah.
what they have to do. You know, I don't know, like, closing on them, I just think I think they're gonna be destined for just a really bad year. I
Mhm.
think I hate to say this, I really don't think they're gonna win anything this year. I really don't. I don't unless they go down the routes of what we're saying, they drop everybody and they start picking up these players that are from NA, or they go and, I don't know. They have to change the whole like foundation of that team. They have like all those guys. Okay, we're gonna pick up someone who's English, who speaks really good English, or who's like a really good player, but you need to go and talk in English to him.
Mhm.
Like that's how you need to be playing the game. Which for them, I think would be just an insane mountain to climb.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I don't see that being realistic.
Yeah.
Um, because they would get worse. Like, no question they would get worse if they went down that way.
Mhm.
Um,
The, um oh, frig, I just lost my train of thought. Something about these guys.
yeah, I don't know. I
Oh,
mean,
that Vegas spot, dude, is just cursed.
I
Like,
think so, yeah.
straight up cursed. Because I think the best season that they had was with Attach and Nero on it
Yeah,
in
that was a good year,
MW2.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that was, the best team that they had. But overall, like, this spot's just cursed. There is a good chance that they don't win anything, and if they don't win anything, that's definitely a CDL record there. So
Yeah, that team has, like again, that spot when it was Paris and everything, they've struggled a lot, but, I just remember, bro, that team was also really good when, Clay was on it. When it was Clay, Temp,
mhm.
um, who else was on that team? Too Real and, TJ. That team was
Yeah.
pretty solid back then. That was the team that
Well,
did that, like, monumental comeback against, Thieves on one of those hard points back in
yeah, yeah.
MW3.
Yeah, on Hotel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They were a
Well,
pretty good team.
the they had their moments, but record-wise and map count-wise, like,
Uh,
the whole
no.
franchise has sucked.
Oh, no, no question about that.
They're not even placing top 6.
No. No, I mean,
Like,
I
they've
don't
always been bottom.
yeah, I wonder if that team there must be the stat out there. I don't think they've ever
Yeah.
made it to a Sunday,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
let alone maybe a Saturday. I mean, it could be that bad. They're
Yeah.
pretty much always the first ones to go. Um But yeah, I that spot, I don't know what you ever do with it, like they rebranded it to Vegas Falcons and changed the
Mhm.
logo and everything, which I was like, maybe it's gonna be somewhat of a fresh start.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think so.
I, like, what I would do if I just owned that spot, like, well, one, like I wouldn't make it like a specific region or whatever. I understand what they're trying to do with the Saudi players, but if I just had complete control, I'm wiping that team and I'm going into challengers and just picking up like the best challengers team in general, or trying to form a team of all former pros
Yeah.
and then call it a day. Like
Yeah.
Arcees, Asim, Exceed, and then I need a flex.
Is
Uh,
Neptune a flex or is he a SMG?
he's a sub.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could stick well next.
Well, Brack.
Now we could you can do Asim. Asim as flex. So
Yeah.
yeah, like
Something
uh,
like that. I mean,
are
that team wouldn't be bad.
they could hang ish.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. I don't think they would be out of the top 8 or
No,
the
but
bottom 8,
yeah,
but it would be an improvement though. You could build
yeah,
off of it a little bit.
and they would beat the Falcons team right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
no doubt.
so, yeah. I wonder if they're still getting blacklisted.
Probably.
That just sucks.
Probably. It wouldn't
That
surprise me. I don't
yeah.
think that's gonna stop unless, someone really steps up and,
I
says that it's ridiculous, but
I
I
want
think
a
it's gonna keep
pro.
going.
I want a pro to come out and say like, so who's blacklisting them? Because you
Right.
see, I think everyone has agreed. Like Zuma has, like, this is bullshit. Scump and Methods on their stream, they've said like that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Like um, like what? Okay, what teams are being this childish? I need to
Right.
know. I need to know.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you, that's like a thing that kind of pisses me off about some of the people that are like, in the league that we
Mhm.
watch, um, where they like say this stuff, but then no one ever actually admits to like being the one who's doing it, or like
Mhm.
we never have an idea who actually is saying this stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's just like it comes off to me so childish,
yeah.
you know?
That's why I
Like,
like. That's why I like Paul, because Paul,
yeah,
when he was in the league, he didn't give a fuck. Like he
right.
remember he came out of the flank with D-Real and he just let it all out.
Right, right. Yeah, it was the best.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know, I just always appreciate that stuff. That's one thing I will say about Aches that I do like, is if there's something that needs to be said, like I saw on the timeline, it was, I think it was Parasite was talking about it. He was like, there's a lot of these ARs that are like, dog shit and should be replaced. And Clay's like, who? You
Mhm.
know? And then he's just like says like, "Oh man, like your team's not that good." And he's like, "Dude, what a cop out, bro. Like name the names. Like who do you think are these players on these teams that need to go?" And then Aches was like, "I'll tell you." And
Yeah.
he went through all the teams. He's like,
Mhm.
he's like FaZe, two amazing like AR players, like AR and Flex, and he goes through OpTic, one really good, one so-so, and that's like that pretty much says it. It's like you could figure it out from that,
Mhm.
but people just blatantly saying stuff like, dude, this guy, like, man, he's doing all this. These teams are blacklisting. It's like, who is? Like, I don't think all the teams are trying to go and have a vendetta against Vegas Falcons. There's
Yeah.
got to be some of them though, because
Yeah.
whoever they are, fuck them.
Dude, if I find if it comes out, it's like the bottom tier teams. Dude, that's ridiculous. That'd be
Yeah.
insane. I'm like, you're already that bad and you don't want to
Right.
scrim against them? Because I don't know. I find it hard to believe that like an OpTic or FaZe or LA Thieves is like, no, we won't scrim them
Right.
because they're that bad. And then I mean you can make the argument where like, well, these guys are the top of the top, cream of the crop. Their egos are huge. So why would they play like the worst team? I
Right.
don't see it
Right.
that way. I see it as all right, let's just go stomp them really quick and then move on
Right.
because it's practice is practice. Uh, but yeah, if it's a bottom teams like it's like Rocker or LAG or Miami, they're like
Yeah.
we're too good. I'm like,
It's like,
oh, dude,
shut the hell up.
no, you're not. You're definitely not.
Yeah, there's only very few teams that can get away with that excuse, and even still, I wouldn't see them
Yeah,
doing that,
yeah.
But if they were, I'd be like, "Ah, okay."
Yeah. Like I understand it from the player's perspective a bit, but
Right.
you're in a professional league. It doesn't matter.
Right,
You
right,
think
right.
it, other I don't know, just other like esports are like, no, we're not playing you because you suck.
Yeah. No, there's no chance. There's no chance. I mean, it's just totally childish that they're doing it. I have no idea what's really even going on with that anymore, like, if it is still a thing.
Mhm.
Um I sure hope it's not just for the sake of these people not getting absolutely roasted online, 'cause it's again, it's just so stupid. It's like, come on, man. Pretty much all these people in here, like, I was gonna say they're like adults, but, they're like, 20 or
Yeah.
21. It's like, dude, you're barely an adult, but they're all professionals, no
Yeah.
doubt, and you gotta be professional, and
Yeah.
that's like that flies in the face of what professionalism is.
Yeah, and those guys aren't gonna get any better if they don't get practice, and
Yeah.
the CDL format's already hard enough. Well, who knows in scrims, maybe they win a couple, like, maps,
Right.
and yeah, and then they go into, the actual CDL match, and they can't win anything,
Right,
and
right.
that's what, like, the problem with every team, right? Like,
Mhm.
if you don't show up for that one specific match, like, it doesn't matter what it looks like in practice and, all the other stuff outside of it. But
Right.
that team's not gonna get any better if they don't get any practice.
Yeah,
Like
exactly, dude. If they're not playing the game, against top people, what are they really doing?
yeah.
They're just sitting there just wasting away, like, I mean, we said it, man. If you have to be playing the game a lot, in general and playing against like good people to, just continuously get better. Like,
Mhm.
if we're playing ranked a lot, we're doing well, like we're definitely, probably at our best level. But if we're not, or like,
Mhm.
you play one match, like, once a week or something like that, it's like, dude, you're not gonna get any better.
Yeah.
You're playing like, fucking TDMs against a bunch of clowns. Like, dude, it's not really gonna help you.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you, man, like I was so pissed, like shifting off that, like last thing, dude, I was gonna play this weekend a lot because they had double XP going on, and I was like,
Mhm.
all right, we'll go and we'll get some time in. Now I've been playing pretty much every day, like play for like half hour, an hour, get the
Mhm.
games in and just, trying to keep the hands good. And then, bro, fucking PlayStation on just like
Yeah. I
PSN
saw that.
died, bro. Bro,
Yeah.
this was I was so pissed. Like, thank God. Most of the games that I play, they were already downloaded, or
Yeah.
they're like, I got my PS2 classic games, or they don't have any online servers to run them.
Mhm.
Um, but I was just thinking of all those people who were, like, gonna go play COD. They get season 2 just dropped, and they're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
dude, double XP weekend, gonna bring them in." And then Lizard Squad
Yeah,
came
yeah.
in and shut them down.
Yeah. Nothing online. Can't play anything. Dude, that would've sucked, if I came back this weekend to hop on and play, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
ready," and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I can't play anything.
Dude, it's your sign. It's like, "Yeah, it
Uh,
ain't happening, bro." Well,
yeah.
dude, I think, like, off this whole thing, like, I think this is a real problem with these games nowadays where so many of them, they have these online servers, not like, like a multiplayer thing,
Mhm.
but in order to just play the game, like if you want to play single player or something, you have to be connected to some sort of online
Yeah.
server to be able to do it. Because there was a lot of people who were complaining about this. Like, they have games that, oh yeah, you can't go and play them now because you need to be signed in and like into your PlayStation Network account to do it, or
Mhm.
if you want it, you have to connect to some sort of, server. Um, and people were just like, in like a drought. They can't play a game at all.
Mhm.
I wasn't in that boat. Like I said, I got like tons of old games that I can play. Um,
Yeah.
but dude, being like a modern gamer on console, if
Mhm.
stuff like that happens and like clearly it did and it can still happen, dude, that sucks.
Yeah. Like, we there are a couple games that, like, I'm thinking of right now, back in the day, obviously, you would have the save slots and,
Right.
and now, there are a lot of single player games you have to connect to, your account just to play, even though you're saving, like, your online slot to your console or whatever.
Right.
But
Ubisoft is like that.
yeah, yeah, like any Ubisoft game. Well, the new ones at least are like that.
Right.
I know back in the day, like you could just load up a file, whatever save space you had, and then just go and play the game.
I feel like it was around the time when Unity came around
Mhm.
that they started to make that shift
Yeah.
where it's like, loading your Ubisoft account. Oh, can't do it because online servers, you can't save the game. It's like, dude,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah, we need to get local, like
We
a
need to go
local
back to the
server.
way it was, bro.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. That's where I think PCs, like if you're going to be like over a console, that's where I think that debate definitely wins. Because if things like this happen, you're screwed on console. Whereas on
Yeah.
PC, like it pretty much, this doesn't happen.
You've got like
Um,
a bunch of other games that you can play.
r- yeah, yeah, that's a big thing I would see. Um, it is unfortunate that if you're on Xbox or if you're on PlayStation, you are reliant on that stuff. So
Mhm.
when these outages like this happen, it's not it doesn't happen all the time,
Mhm.
but I mean, man, you think about it, like I saw these people they're playing some tournament that's going on, and they're playing for, a few $100 or a few $1,000s. It's like, dude, that's a big deal to them. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you can't play because of some, stupid outage that
Mhm.
you have no control over and you have no idea when it's gonna stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that that would suck. And
Yeah.
if there was an outage on PC, we have, like, a bigger problem.
Right,
Like,
right.
the internet's
Exactly.
gone.
Right, exactly. The internet and the world is down right now. We'll be
Yeah.
back up shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, bro.
Yeah.
You and I remember too back in the day the original PlayStation shutdown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was crazy.
That was straight up Lizard Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was Lizard Squad. I
Yeah.
can't remember how long that
That was a long time.
that
It was
shutdown was.
it was a while because
Yeah,
it was around, Christmas. Like,
right.
everybody got the new COD, everyone's ready to play, and they're like, "Nope, you guys aren't
Yeah,
playing."
I wonder when that man, I had to go see when it was out there. Oh yeah, 2011. How long? Yeah, 24 days. 3
Yeah.
weeks and 3 days. That's insane.
Yeah.
And it cost him $171 million.
Mhm.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I remember that time, dude. That was terrible.
Yeah.
But like,
No
but we
one could
couldn't
play
play games.
anything.
Dude, yeah, you literally couldn't do anything for like almost a month.
Yeah, and it was during break too.
Yeah. But that was also too, like, you got to think that was in the time when like on PlayStation 3, we didn't really have a lot of digital games. Like we still had a
Yeah,
lot of physical games.
discs.
So it wasn't too bad.
Mhm,
But like, dude, on my PS5, I have um 2 games on disc. That's it.
mhm.
Like
I don't have
everything else
any.
I had. Yeah.
I was looking through my, like, my PS4 collection, and I got, like, 2 or 3 discs on
Damn.
PS4, like, that's it.
Yeah.
PS5, I
Yeah.
got nothing.
Right. PS2.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just stacks. Yeah, it's sad over the years that's what's happened to it, you
Mhm.
know? I'll tell you, like, last thing, because 'cause I'm sure other people feel it too, but, like, I was talking to, my brother about it because he wants to go and get, he wants to get PS5
Mhm.
just to play, like, like Jak and Daxter and all these games we had. And he's like, "What do you think? Should I get the one with the disk drive or the one without it?" I'm like, "Oh, dude, you don't need the disk drive. Like, forget about it." You
Mhm.
know? And then he said to me, he's like, "Dude, isn't that fucked up?" Like, he's like, "Don't we have like on PS2?" He's like, "You still have that catalog of all the games?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, now you don't even need you don't even
Mhm.
need a disc anymore to play these." I'm like, "Yeah, bro. It's like
Yeah.
totally obsolete."
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, it's whatever you can get, that's cheaper,
Right.
to be honest,
Yeah.
like, yeah. Uh, I don't even know, like, what I would have to go on Amazon or whatever and just order a disc
Right.
and then put it into my PlayStation. I mean, I guess you can use a disc slot to watch, like, movies and stuff,
Yeah.
but,
No, you
again,
can.
like, what, you don't have Netflix or, like, any streaming service, which you can do on the PlayStation too, like, you don't need a disc for that.
Yeah. No, it's pretty pointless, I got it. I don't know why I did. I think it's just because I thought I was gonna, be using a disc more,
Mhm.
which, when the PS6 comes out when I'm like 45, then I'll probably I mean, they may not even have an option for discs. Like I
Yeah.
think there may be a point in the future where they literally just stop making physical copies of games because
Mhm.
it's like it's a waste of money.
And a waste of, like, resources. But
Yeah,
that goes back to okay, we'll never have Power of the Player ever
exactly.
again. We'll never
Yeah.
own any of these games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Which would be a real
I
problem.
have the disc version too, um,
Yeah.
but that's, like, the only one I could get.
Right,
But,
right,
I
right,
mean
right.
but yeah, it's crazy. I
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad where gaming has gone, no doubt.
Yeah, we went from
And we're
having, like, stacks and stacks of discs to now,
yeah,
like, nothing.
yeah, it's messed up, but
But I have more games than I have, like, ever
oh, yeah, same,
just
same.
in my library.
Yeah, and it's so convenient too, but it is nice just, like, actually owning the game,
Mhm.
like, having it there and looking at the artwork and everything that they put into it.
Yeah.
I think that's always a cool feature,
Mhm.
but, yeah, I think that's gonna be something, of the past. in like, I don't know how many years it's going to be, probably like 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
It's just,
probably.
it's not going to be worth it anymore, you
Yeah.
know?
I on one of the OpTic podcasts, I heard methods like talking about like gaming back in the day, like how much fun it used to be getting back from school. You know, you pop your game out of your case and then like put it into your console. And he's like, kids will never experience that ever again. Like, think about that. And
Yeah, dude.
like, yeah, that's true. Like, they get home and like push a button and like
Right.
they're online.
Or midnight releases.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I remember going to them. Like, I think actually I
Mhm.
only went to one. Um, but I remember too, like when we got your PS4,
Yeah.
on Black Friday, like going there and getting it and then getting was it Black Ops 3,
Yeah. Black
like
Ops
having to
3.
pick up, yeah. Like, I don't know, just moments like that, they're gonna be gone as time goes on with people.
Mhm.
There's not gonna be a thing. Like, you don't have to go into the midnight release, just pre-order it. And then when
Yeah.
you wake up in the morning or like at midnight starts downloading.
Mhm. Yeah, it's actually crazy. But I feel like a lot of the people in the COD scene though, they only play COD, or at least the competitive players. For some reason, they only play COD. There are like a handful of them that play other games and they're actual gamers, but a
Dude, they
lot.
all play just FPSs. You
Yeah.
know?
Well,
Like, I
yeah.
see Dashy, he's insane at Valorant,
Mhm.
and he obviously plays COD, but to me, I'm like, "Bro, like, I
Mhm.
wanna have just 1 FPS, like, I don't wanna be
Mhm.
playing anything else, I'd rather just play COD and then play some single player game."
Yeah. And then there's people like Zuma and Methods. They try the other games, but they're like, no, I can't. Like I
Right, right,
only
right.
like COD.
Right, right.
I guess they're more like us. Like
Yeah.
they don't even play Warzone. Like Zuma especially. I mean he's branched out to GTA and stuff and like he plays
Mhm.
Rocket League, but those are the handful of games where he'll play, but he won't touch like Warzone. He won't touch like any other FPS.
Yeah, I for those guys, especially when they competed, in that game for so long, it's like that's their home game. They can't,
Mhm.
especially with Warzone, you can't look at COD any other way.
Yeah, no, yeah. I completely agree. That's like us. We don't play Warzone.
No,
Not
never.
that
Like,
it's
I've
in shambles
noticed.
right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why even bother? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play that game.
Yeah. I I heard well, Pred's coming back, but I heard Pred at one point say like, I go and I play COD and then I get off. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't play any other games. I'm like, you're
yeah.
just naturally that gifted and good that you're a professional player. Scrap does the same thing. He just hops on, grinds COD, and then he gets off.
Right.
Doesn't
Wait,
play anything else.
yeah, and to me, that's what, like, there's a weird definition for me. I'm like, what really makes you a gamer, you know? Like, are
Yeah.
you a gamer if you just play, like, or you just play a video game, you know?
Mhm.
But to me, my always embodiment with that was like, oh, you play multiple games, you know a lot about different styles of games,
Mhm.
etc. You know, like you play FPSs, you play RPGs, whatever. Um, and you've been playing like on different consoles and all that stuff. But if you just play one game
Mhm.
and that's it, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, those guys essentially, like, they're clocking in to, like,
Right.
their regular job,
It's just like a job. Yeah.
and
It
they're
doesn't.
just the best in the world at it, like and then they just sign off and they go and eat dinner and do whatever they want.
Right. Yeah. But do they look forward to it being like, oh, I can't wait to go play COD today? Like, are they thinking about it that
I
way?
don't
Because, like,
I would hope so. I mean, like, Scrap has said that, like, he loves, like, scrimming and takes it super seriously, but,
yeah.
like, I mean, I hope Pred does, he's coming back,
Yeah.
that
Right.
yeah,
For his sake.
he's coming back to OpTic.
Yeah.
I saw the graphic of that online. I'm like, damn, this guy. Like it was just like a shadow of him and the
Yeah.
light hanging over him. I was like,
Yeah. It's
damn,
rad.
he's back.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a big move. I mean, I think kind of close on that, asking people what they think about like the move in general, if you agree with it, disagree with it. I know you and I are both on the side of agreeing with it.
Mhm,
But I think the real question is like, is Optic gonna get better from that? We'll leave that as one of the questions for you guys to answer.
mhm,
Um, because I think that's what's on their mind. Pred, yeah, hasn't been playing since he got released. Is he just gonna slot right back in and, you know, dominate like he was, like, and just be an absolute beast, or is there gonna be a time where he's really gotta feel it out and
mhm.
Optic's gonna look shaky, and then those Optic fans are gonna, dude, drop PRED. We
Drop
shouldn't have
PRED.
never
Yeah.
dropped Huke.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have dropped him, dude. We were looking good online. We just had a bad event because Kenny,
Yeah, yeah, dude. It's always Kenny, no matter what. It's always Kenny for some
He's the
reason.
scapegoat.
Yeah, that reminds me of like going back to Super Bowl. The quarterback for the Eagles, his screensaver was him losing to the Chiefs and him like walking away as confetti was like falling down, and that was a screensaver until he got to the Super Bowl.
Damn.
And he was like, "Yeah, every time I open my phone, I see myself losing." And
Yeah, that's some psycho shit.
yeah, and now he's like, "I just have to work harder." And now,
Right.
I mean, now he can change his screensaver.
I was gonna
He's a Super
say,
Bowl champ.
yeah, right. No,
I
that's
imagine
mental.
Fred's like that. He's like, "I'm ready to be back." Like his
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
screensaver is winning champs. Like
Right.
this is probably like the worst he's ever been like in his career.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one for sure. I know we got the matches coming up, so it's gonna be a good one to watch. I'm for sure gonna be I'm gonna be glued to it because it's gonna be exciting to see him back and see how they perform. They've got a good split coming up, so we shall see how they do. But yeah, man, I think that's all I really got. If there's anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up.
no, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
So again, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode number 209 of the COD Casuals podcast. Be sure to go to anchor.fm/COD Casuals since we're there on all streaming platforms. Of course, go into the Instagram and the TikTok. If you don't want to watch the full episode, we just have the shorts over there. Then going to, Twitter at COD Casuals. We're pretty much there all the time replying to stuff. So if you want to reach out to us there, please do. And then 5 stars.
Yeah. 5 stars
always.
only.
And YouTube. Go to the YouTube, comment, like, subscribe. We appreciate it as always. And I think that's it, bro. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So again, everybody, this has been episode number 209 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
And we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.